Never did I imagine that discovering a simple concert ticket would tear my world apart, leaving me drenched in Seattle's relentless rain, questioning everything I thought I knew about the woman who'd shared my bed for 8 years. I'm Jonas Marrow, 34, making my living as a financial data analyst at a prominent investment firm in the city. Until recently, I thought I had it all figured out. My wife Lila and I enjoyed our sleek apartment with views of Elliott Bay, spent weekends conquering Mount Rainier's trails, and had carefully mapped out our future, including a larger home for when children enter the picture. At 32, Lila's a brilliant marketing strategist in tech, charismatic and quick-witted. Our story began in college, culminating in marriage after 4 years of courtship, building what I believed was an unshakable foundation. But lately, things haven't felt quite right. Lila's been working increasingly late hours, citing demanding advertising projects. When she'd finally return home, her mind seemed elsewhere, and sometimes she carried an unfamiliar scent, nothing like her signature lavender fragrance. I convinced myself it was just work pressure. I desperately wanted to believe that. Yet somewhere inside, doubt was taking root, planting seeds of uncertainty I couldn't ignore. The revelation came on a drizzly evening when I was hanging up her coat after another late return. Something rigid caught my fingers in the pocket. I extracted a ticket stub from an indie band's performance at a Pioneer Square venue. The date was last Friday, the same night she'd messaged about an emergency office meeting. My heart raced. What reason could there be for such a small deception? I stood frozen, listening to the rain's steady rhythm against the windows, the stub weighing heavy in my palm. I could have confronted her then and there. She was showering, singing an unfamiliar melody. Instead, I returned the stub to its hiding place and sank into the couch, watching the bay's murky waters. My thoughts spiraled. Was it an innocent oversight? A spontaneous decision? Or something more sinister? I needed the truth, but wasn't prepared to face it. Not now. The following evening, she announced another late meeting. I nodded, brushed her cheek with a kiss, and watched her retreating figure, her heels echoing down the corridor. But this time, I refused to stay behind. Grabbing my keys and shrugging on a jacket, I followed her trail. Seattle's rain-slicked streets reflected the neon signs, creating kaleidoscopic patterns in every puddle. Rather than heading to her downtown office, her car veered toward Capitol Hill, navigating through traffic until she reached an unfamiliar, dimly lit street. I parked my car a block away, my heart thundering in my chest, and followed her on foot. She disappeared into a basement establishment, marked only by a single flickering bulb above its entrance. I lingered outside, hood concealing my face, blending with the crowd from a nearby brewery. Through the condensation-covered window, I spotted her. Lila, my beloved wife, laughing beneath a neon glow, her arm casually draped around an unknown man. He was tall, polished, leaning intimately close. My insides churned. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone, captured a blurry image, and zoomed in. His features were angular, confident, stirring a vague recognition. Then realization struck. Gideon Voss, her superior, the man she'd mentioned offhandedly during dinners, always dismissively. My breath hitched. This was no business meeting. This was something far more intimate. Before we delve deeper into this shocking revelation, let me pause briefly. Where are you tuning in from? Give us a shout out. Perhaps you're here in rain-soaked Seattle or somewhere across the nation. If you're captivated by this narrative, don't forget to subscribe. Believe me, the upcoming developments are unmissable. I remained rooted, rain seeping into my footwear, observing them. One part of me yearned to burst in, demanding explanations. But my analytical side craved more. Evidence. Concrete proof. Not mere suspicions. I contacted Reese Callahan, a college friend turned private investigator based in Tacoma. He answered promptly, his voice rough yet composed. Jonas, what's happening? I kept it brief. Need you to investigate something. My wife. Her boss. I suspect their words fail me. He didn't press. Forward me whatever you have, he replied. I'll take care of it. Ending the call, my gaze remained fixed on that window. Lila threw her head back in laughter again, either unaware of or indifferent to the tempest gathering outside. Regardless, I was done with speculation. Whatever secrets she harbored, I would uncover them. And once I did, there would be no return. After that night outside the basement bar, sleep eluded me completely. The sight of Lila's arm draped around Gideon Voss haunted my consciousness, like a persistent thorn I couldn't extract. The following day passed in a haze. I went through my routine mechanically, barely registering the endless meetings, my computer screen displaying meaningless figures that held no significance. Around midday, my phone vibrated. Reese's voice came through, terse and urgent. "Got something you need to see, Jonas. That old diner by I-5, the one with the terrible coffee. 1 hour." I acted without hesitation. Fabricating a family crisis to my supervisor, I grabbed my jacket and drove southward through the persistent drizzle, windshield wipers creating a hypnotic rhythm. Throughout the journey, my thoughts raced uncontrollably. What information awaited me? How devastating would it be? Despite my apprehension, retreat wasn't a consideration. The diner's atmosphere was heavy with cooking oil and day-old desserts, a flickering neon sign advertising its availability. Reese occupied a secluded booth, a manila envelope placed before him. He cut straight to the chase. "This isn't going to be pleasant," he warned, pushing the envelope across. My trembling fingers revealed its contents. Photographs cascaded out. Lila and Gideon at an upscale hotel near Pike Place Market, her head resting intimately against his chest in the lobby. Another image captured them entering that Capitol Hill apartment I'd followed her to, his hand positioned suggestively on her lower back. The final blow, a grainy surveillance snapshot from 2 weeks prior, showing them entangled in a vehicle behind her workplace, steamed windows barely concealing their indiscretion. My throat constricted painfully. "There's more," Reese continued. "Audio recordings." My contact tapped her phone. "Want to hear?" I nodded mechanically. He offered an earbud, pressed play. Lila's voice emerged, playful and flirtatious. "Gideon, careful, Jonas might check my schedule." Then Gideon's arrogant response. "He's too consumed with spreadsheets to notice. Let him play with his numbers." I ripped out the earbud, fighting back nausea. I remained motionless, examining the photographs strewn across the worn diner table. Raindrops trickled down the windows, transforming the exterior into an indistinct blur. "How extensive?" I managed to ask, my voice barely audible. Reese shifted in his seat, crossing his arms defensively. "At least half a year, possibly longer. They're methodical, but not infallible. He maintains an unlisted loft in Belltown. She's been frequenting it. I've documented everything: dates, timings, transaction records." My fingernails dug crescents into my palms as I processed this. 6 months. 180 days of deception, of her returning home, carrying traces of him. I'd been utterly naive, accepting every explanation, every extended workday. Now everything aligned. The unfamiliar fragrance, her newfound enthusiasm for weekend wellness retreats, her visible discomfort whenever I approached her mobile. Reese's gaze remained fixed on me. "What's your strategy, Jonas?" I took my time responding, needing to formulate a concrete approach. I refused to let this situation destroy me entirely. That evening, I waited for Lila to drift into slumber, her rhythmic breathing filling our spacious bed. I crept to the living room, where city illumination reflected off the harbor visible through our panoramic windows. I contacted Reese again. "Continue investigating," I instructed. "I need comprehensive evidence. Accommodation records, message histories, anything obtainable." He acknowledged with a grunt. "Understood. But warning, Gideon isn't merely another corporate executive. Reports suggest he's volatile. Overheard him berating someone about a failed transaction. Exercise caution." I terminated the call, jaw clenched. His volatile nature introduced an unexpected complication. Was Lila entangled deeper than anticipated? Was she acting out of fear? Or was she deliberately deceiving me alongside him? I poured bourbon from the kitchen counter, its warmth steadying my resolve. This wasn't just about gathering evidence anymore. I needed to uncover who she'd truly become. The following morning, Lila appeared cheerful during breakfast, casually stirring sweetener into her coffee as if everything was perfectly normal. "Important presentation today," she announced, collecting her belongings. "Might be working late again." I managed a mechanical nod while sipping my flavorless coffee. "Have a good day," I muttered, the sentiment empty and forced. She planted a quick kiss on my cheek before rushing out. abandoning me to the refrigerator's monotonous drone and the growing unease in my stomach. I immediately messaged Reese. She's leaving now. Track her. Then I examined the photograph I'd captured outside the establishment, magnifying Gideon's features. His arrogant expression seemed to mock me. Though uncertain about my next steps once I gathered sufficient proof, one thing was evident. This had evolved far beyond a simple concert stub. I was ensnared in an intricate web, pulling at strands that could recoil unpredictably. Outside, rain continued its relentless descent, drumming against the window panes, while I pondered how many more secrets lurked within its murky depths. The period following that diner conversation felt like navigating through dense mist, bewildering and disorienting. Despite possessing photographs, audio recordings, and Reese's concrete findings, it wasn't sufficient. Not yet. I required an ironclad strategy, which led me downtown to consult Nora Tatum, a divorce attorney renowned for untangling complicated situations like mine. Her workplace occupied space above a thriving cafe on 2nd Avenue, its modern glass and metal architecture contrasting sharply with my internal turmoil. I ascended the staircase, clutching Reese's envelope, and entered her domain. Nora exuded authority, somewhere in her mid-40s, fixing me with an unwavering gaze that rooted me to my seat. I revealed everything. The concert ticket discovery, the bar incident, the hotel surveillance, Gideon's taunting voice through my earpiece. She examined the images methodically, maintaining a composed demeanor before reclining. Washington's no-fault jurisdiction means infidelity isn't required for filing, she explained. However, this evidence could influence asset distribution, possibly more. To secure that advantage, we need irrefutable proof, not just surveillance photos. I acknowledged her point. I'm working on it, I assured her. She rhythmically tapped her pen against the desk. Maintain normalcy around her. Stay composed. One wrong move, and she'll seek legal representation immediately. I departed with heightened anxiety, knowing this charade would need to continue longer than I desired. Back home, coexisting with Lila became an intricate balancing act. She'd returned from her late-night engagements, casually dropping her bag on the counter, discussing clients and project deadlines as if our world hadn't tilted on its axis. I'd respond with practiced smiles and nods, forcing down dinner across from her, each mouthful tasting like bitter cardboard. But she was perceptive. One evening, while I was washing dishes at the sink, she positioned herself against the refrigerator, arms folded, studying my movements. You've been unusually quiet lately, Jonas, she observed, her voice probing. Trouble at work? I maintained focus on the plate, watching water spiral down the drain. Just exhausted, I replied. Heavy workload. She inched closer, her shadow stretching across the counter. Are you certain? You know you could tell me if something's bothering you, right? Her tone carried an undercurrent of suspicion. I turned to meet her eyes, manufacturing a casual shrug. Obviously, I responded, maintaining composure. She held my gaze a moment too long before offering a tight, forced smile. All right, she said before retreating to the bedroom. My heart pounded against my ribs. She sensed something amiss. Maybe not the specifics, but she detected the fractures in our facade. Reese's call came the following afternoon while I was sequestered in my office cubicle, staring at illuminated spreadsheets. Got additional information, he reported. Followed her to that Belltown apartment last night. Gideon was present. Also intercepted messages from a burner phone she's using. She's cautious, but made a mistake. One message to Gideon from 2 days ago reads, "Need to lay low. He's behaving strangely." My grip tightened on the phone until my knuckles blanched. She suspects me, I said. Reese maintained his professional tone. Possibly. Or she's just being cautious. Regardless, I'm monitoring her tonight. She has a reservation at an upscale restaurant in Queen Anne. I'll keep surveillance. I ended the call, adrenaline coursing through me. A burner phone. That revelation blindsided me. What other secrets was she concealing? I messaged Reese, secure audio if possible. Then I reclined, staring at the ceiling panels, strategizing my next course of action. That evening, Lila departed again, citing a team dinner. This time, I resisted the urge to follow. Instead, I paced our apartment restlessly, watching the dark bay stretch endlessly outside. At 10 p.m., my phone alerted me. Reese had forwarded evidence. A photograph showing Lila and Gideon sharing an intimate moment at a candlelit restaurant, their hands meeting across pristine tablecloth. Then came an audio file. I inserted my earbuds and pressed play. Lila's voice emerged, barely above a whisper, but unmistakable. She confided in Gideon about her growing unease, questioning how much longer she could maintain the charade. Gideon's response rumbled through, almost predatory. He dismissed her concerns, assuring her of my ignorance, urging adherence to their scheme. The recording ended abruptly. I replayed it repeatedly, each word cutting deeper than before. A scheme. They were orchestrating something. Anxiety constricted my chest. Was this merely about their affair? Or something more? Sinister? Financial gain? My career? The uncertainty consumed me like an unnamed demon. I retrieved another bourbon, clutching the cool glass while positioning myself by the window. Below, the metropolis sparkled with sharp angles and hidden truths. Lila returned 60 minutes later, her heels softly announcing her arrival as she deposited her keys. "How was dinner?" I inquired, maintaining my position. She hesitated before releasing a calculated laugh. "Good, though draining. I'm exhausted." She moved past me toward our bedroom, trailing an unfamiliar fragrance. I remained stationary, observing the glistening streets below. We were both unraveling, but I had allies: Nora's counsel, Reese's vigilance, and growing determination within. The Queen and dinner recording tormented me, Lila's whispered mention of their scheme echoing endlessly. Action was imperative now. My evidence was substantial: Reese's surveillance photos, hotel documentation, secret phone communications, and now this revealing conversation. The following evening, Lila announced another late commitment with practiced casualness while retrieving her coat. I acknowledged normally, but tonight would be different. Reese's message had confirmed. She's heading to Belltown's loft. Gideon's presence confirmed. I secured my phone, retrieved my pistol from the bedroom safe, and concealed it carefully. Though I hoped to avoid using it, Gideon's volatile nature concerned me. I navigated through rainfall, city lights bleeding across my windshield, until I parked near the loft, a slim brick structure sandwiched between a brewery and pawn shop. I ascended the fire escape, my boots making no sound against the rain-slicked metal, until I reached a partially open window on the third floor. The billowing curtains offer me a fragmented glimpse inside. Lila stood near a leather sofa, facing away from me, while Gideon stalked back and forth, nursing a whiskey glass. Their conversation floated out, edged with tension. "We need to accelerate things," Lila stated, her words precise and sharp. "He's growing suspicious." Gideon's lips curled into a smirk as he swirled his drink. "Then keep him distracted. That's your specialty." She whirled to face him, anger flashing in her eyes. "Stop treating this like a game, Gideon. If he investigates further, everything collapses." My heart stopped. Investigates what exactly? I carefully retrieved my phone, activated the recording function, and held it steady, capturing every syllable. Gideon moved closer to her, lowering his voice. "He won't get far. I've ensured that. The offshore account? It's now linked to his company. One anonymous tip, and he takes the fall." I stood motionless. Offshore account? My company? They were constructing an elaborate financial trap, and I'd walked right into it. My grip tightened on the weapon, perspiration forming on my forehead despite the cool air. I'd heard enough. I descended to the alley, made my way to the front, and hammered on the loft's metal door. The sound reverberated, definitive and commanding. After shuffling noises inside, Gideon wrenched open the door, his confident smirk wavering in my sight. "Jonas," he said, feigning astonishment. "What brings you here?" Lila materialized behind him, the color draining from her face. I cut straight to the point. I produced my phone, playing the Queen and recording loud enough for both to hear. "Don't worry. He suspects nothing. Follow the plan." Gideon's expression hardened, while Lila stumbled backward. "How did you get that?" She stuttered. I focused solely on Gideon, ignoring her. "Setting me up with some fake account to destroy my reputation?" "I've recorded everything," I declared, indicating my phone. "Including photos, messages, everything. It's over." Gideon barked out a harsh laugh and lunged for the phone. I stepped aside, drawing my weapon and aiming directly at his chest. "Don't," I warned, my voice steady. He halted, raising his hands, though his arrogant smirk remained. "You won't pull the trigger," he taunted. "You're too weak." Lila stepped forward, her voice quivering with desperation. "Jonas, please, I need to explain everything." I faced her, studying the woman who'd been my world for 8 years, now just a stranger in expensive stilettos. "Explain?" I spat. "A whole year deception? The hotel meetings, endless lies, plotting against me? Go ahead, explain that." She collapsed onto the sofa, tears streaming down her face. "It wasn't meant to be like this," she whispered. "Just a casual affair." Then he drew me deeper, with promises of money and elaborate schemes. "I never meant to cause you pain." I let out a bitter laugh, keeping the gun level. "You just didn't want to get discovered. That's what really matters to you." Gideon inched toward the exit, but I swiftly redirected the weapon. "Stay where you are," I commanded. "Tomorrow, I'm filing for divorce. And everything, the evidence, the recordings, goes to the police, the company, everyone. You've both destroyed yourselves." Lila wept into her palms, while Gideon stood rigid, unusually speechless. I retreated, feeling raindrops hit my face as I emerged onto the street, the magnitude of betrayal crushing me. I'd exposed their scheme, but victory felt hollow and metallic. The following day, I visited Nora's office, presenting the collected evidence. She reviewed it, her expression grim before nodding decisively. "This is perfect, Jonas. Adultery is one thing, but corporate fraud? Conspiracy? They're finished." I signed the divorce papers that day, black strokes reducing my marriage to legal documents. At home, I awaited Lila. She arrived at midday, looking haggard with puffy eyes and hastily packed bags. "Jonas," she pleaded, voice cracking. "We can salvage this." I gestured toward the exit. 48 hours. Get out." She hesitated, then complied, silently gathering her belongings. I stood watching ferries navigate the bay, contemplating the depth of their conspiracy. The loft confrontation had exposed much, but questions lingered. What remained hidden? And what price would uncovering those secrets demand? The 48 hours following that loft confrontation passed in a numbing blur. Lila gathered her belongings the next day, her footsteps resonating through our apartment like fading heartbeats. She didn't resist or plead anymore, just left me with a barely audible sorry as the door closed with finality. I remained motionless in the emptiness, clutching a coffee cup that grew cold in my trembling hands. Nora's call came that afternoon, her voice sharp and professional through the receiver. "Divorce proceedings are initiated, Jonas. With this evidence, it's straightforward. You retain the apartment, split the savings, no alimony required. I've forwarded the fraud documentation to law enforcement and your company's legal department. Just hold steady." I expressed gratitude, but steady was far from what I felt. My existence was unraveling like worn fabric, each pull revealing deeper decay. Staying at the firm became impossible with Gideon's influence poisoning every document. I resigned, composing a brief email in minutes before pressing send. Within days, I secured a position as an analyst at a Bellevue insurance company, seeking fresh beginnings across the water from Seattle's haunting memories. The ripples of destruction spread beyond me. Reese reached out days later, his voice heavy with updates. "Lila's unemployed now," he informed me. "News spread quickly after your firm began investigating Gideon's finances. He dismissed her to protect himself. She's living with her mother, looking devastated." Standing by my kitchen counter, watching the bay's gentle waves, I envisioned her, stripped of her polished exterior, crumbling. A familiar ache surfaced briefly, then dissolved. She'd orchestrated this downfall. Then Reese delivered the shocking revelation. "Gideon's situation is worse than anticipated. Police searched his loft yesterday, discovered encrypted storage devices, falsified documentation, currency hidden within walls. He's connected to major offshore fraud, millions stolen from clients. Your signature appears on several documents. Jonas. Forged but present." My pulse faltered. His scheme wasn't mere spite. It was insurance, positioning me as a scapegoat if his empire crumbled. I contacted Nora, anxiety evident in my voice. She maintained composure. "Your recordings, timestamps, and evidence prove your innocence. They'll resolve this." Nevertheless, the thought of my name entangled in his web of deceit sent ice through my veins. A week later, Faye, Lila's mother, called me. I was at a dimly lit dive bar near my new workplace, nursing a beer while the jukebox played a melancholic country song in the background. Jonas, her voice trembled through the phone. Lila's spiraling downward. She's lost her job and drinking excessively. She won't communicate with anyone. Could you please check on her? I gripped my bottle tighter, feeling condensation dampen my palm. I'm not responsible for her anymore, Faye, I replied. But I'll make one visit. That weekend, I drove to Faye's Renton residence, a modest house hidden behind towering, unkempt cedars. Lila opened the door, her appearance disheveled, tangled hair, hollow eyes, and wine-stained clothing. She stared momentarily before stepping aside. The living room air was heavy with cigarette smoke and despair. "You're looking well," she muttered, collapsing into a worn armchair. Standing with crossed arms, I responded bluntly, "You're not." "What's going on?" Her laugh sounded broken. "Gideon left when rumors circulated. Call me a liability. I've lost everything." I acknowledged silently, unsurprised. "And what about the scheme?" I questioned. She winced, avoiding eye contact. "Gideon masterminded it," she confessed. "Embezzle funds. Frame you if discovered. I never imagined it would escalate this far. I observed this stranger before me, once my future wife, now drowning in self-created chaos. I'm truly sorry, Jonas," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Forgiveness wasn't possible. Instead, I departed silently. The doors slammed, echoing like a pistol shot. Gideon's downfall followed immediately, both sudden and severe. The radio announced during my drive to Bellevue. Executive arrested in fraud investigation. Assets frozen, facing potential decades-long sentence. Later, Reese provided additional details. Gideon attempted escape, booking transportation to Vancouver, but federal agents intercepted him at SeaTac. His company disintegrated instantly, clients fleeing, employees dispersing. That evening, in my downsized apartment overlooking Lake Washington, I listened to raindrops against the windows. Though I'd escaped his trap, the price was devastating. My marriage, former life, and faith in others destroyed. Lila became a victim of her own choices, while Gideon's predatory nature led to his ultimate capture. Yet something unsettling remained, a persistent doubt in darkness. Had I overlooked crucial details? Were there deeper layers to their plot hidden within those drives now in police custody? The uncertainty haunted me, like a loose thread I dared not pull, fearing another unraveling. The aftermath of Gideon's arrest settled into an unexpected tranquility. My new position in Bellevue kept my mind occupied, analyzing insurance claims rather than investment frauds, finding solace in the predictability of numbers after the chaos. My lakefront apartment, though more modest, provided a sanctuary where the gentle sounds of Lake Washington's boat traffic replaced Elliott Bay's turbulent waters. While life felt more manageable, lingering doubts persisted. Despite escaping the fraud scheme and witnessing Lila and Gideon's downfall, that nagging detail about the encrypted drives wouldn't release its grip. What remained undiscovered? I attempted to silence these thoughts by joining a weekend running group near the lake, letting my footfalls on concrete drown out the persistent questions. Then one brisk Saturday morning, everything changed. As I prepared for my run, my phone vibrated. Unknown caller. I answered warily. "Jonas Marrow," a woman's voice inquired, sharp and pressing. "Speaking. Who is this?" I responded. She paused briefly. "I'm Tara Keene. Worked with Gideon. We need to talk." Immediately, my stomach clenched. Another conspirator? I suggested meeting at a crowded coffee shop in downtown Bellevue, banking on public spaces for safety. Tara was already there, slim, 30-ish, with exhausted eyes. She slipped into the booth, constantly scanning the room, nervously. "What's this about?" I demanded. She moved closer, whispering, "The drives police seized? They missed one. I have it. Gideon made me hide it as backup. I decoded it yesterday. You mentioned Jonas, but not as you'd expect." My brow furrowed, heart rate increasing. "Continue," I pressed. She extracted a USB drive, pushing it toward me. "It's a record book. Shows fraudulent trades, diverted funds, but there's more. Lila wasn't just his lover. She was his accomplice, taking 50% of everything. They planned to escape together, leaving you to face consequences." I fixated on the small black drive, a potential explosive on the table. 50%? I echoed tensely. T'as confirmé, million. But she wanted out. That's why she hesitated at the end. I drove home, inserted the drive into my laptop, and watched as the truth unfolded before me. The screen illuminated with spreadsheets, revealing years of systematic theft, with Lila's name connected to transactions I'd never imagined. A video file emerged, the quality grainy but unmistakable. Lila pacing in Gideon's office, her voice tense and agitated. We're pushing the limits, she warned. Jonas will figure it out. Gideon's dismissive laugh echoed off-screen. He's just a cog in the machine. Let him take the fall. The recording ended, leaving me staring at the lake outside, its surface as cold and unforgiving as the truth before me. Her betrayal went beyond infidelity. She traded my future for profit, only wavering when conscience finally caught up. I dialed Tara. What's your angle in sharing this? I questioned. Her response came with a weary sigh. I'm vulnerable if they trace it. You have power now. Make it count. After hanging up, my thoughts raced. Was this power or poison? I could suppress it, walk away, or expose everything and watch the fallout. I chose exposure, delivering it to Nora the following day. Her smile was predatory. This is the nail in the coffin, Jonas. Lila's finished. The story exploded a week later. Lila in custody, facing fraud charges alongside Gideon's extensive criminal activities. Faye reached out, distraught. She was innocent, Jonas. How could you believe this? I ended the call silently, exhausted by their deceptions. Justice moved swiftly. Lila received 5 years, Gideon 20. My reputation restored completely. The firm offered a settlement. Hush money I accepted without hesitation. That weekend, I ran by the lake, each step lighter, feeling a transformation. Perhaps it was hope. During post-run drinks, Sasha Linwood, a colleague known for her infectious laughter, offered me a beer. You seem happier lately, she observed. I took a sip, shrugging. Taking it day by day, I replied. Her smile widened. That's good. Join us for the Mariners game next week. I agreed, surrounded by the comforting buzz of conversation. Reflecting now, deception shattered everything. Lila sacrificed it all, her profession, freedom, family connections, for a scheme that ultimately failed. Gideon's empire collapsed, destroyed by his own avarice. And me? I lost my marriage, career, and former self, but gained perspective. Lies destroy not just the deceived. They consume the deceiver, gradually but inevitably. The message was clear. Trust yourself first, because nothing's worth compromising your integrity. I'm imperfect, but liberated, with tomorrow waiting to be shaped. And so concludes this chapter of my journey. How did this resolution resonate with you? Was it expected or surprising? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this narrative touched you, please show your support with a like and subscribe to stay updated on future stories. Thank you for being part of this experience, and until we meet again,